Hello there, welcome to this video which accompanies a PDF file which is available in the link below, which goes to my Google Drive and you download it, of course, for free. It is a 7-day ritual which I recommend that you try to get into the habit of doing over a couple of months. And I wanted to make this video to accompany that, to give you some examples of the things that are written in it. So hopefully it's of use to you. Now, day 1, internal piano and orientation. I'm just going to go through the list here. Visualize the keyboard mentally with eyes closed. Very important. Nobody pushes the internal piano like me. If you don't know it in your mind, you can't play it at the piano. So take the time to just sit at your piano or keyboard, close your eyes, and just see the shapes. It might sound simple, but you have to know, you have to be orientated in your mind and see the shapes in your mind. So just take time to transfer this thing into a visual representation. Try and do that every day, even when you're walking around. By the way, these only require 15 to 30 minutes per day. Do finger tendon stretches while sitting in front of middle C or D. Why have I said that? You need to get your fingers moving. And many times I've shown the kind of exercises I do. So very, very quickly, I do a palm slap. I do about 100 of these. Every day I do it. It's a habit. When I'm boiling the kettle, waiting for food, I always do these things. I do like a fist squeeze and an open stretch. I do the finger rolling from the index finger. I guess you can do it from the little finger as well. I do just general opening and closing like this. And I do the claw thing like this. I do a little bit of a tendon stretch, a couple of seconds each way. I do these every day, up to about 100 of them. It only takes about, you're doing like 2 or 3 a second. So it's done very, very quickly. And that's going to help you. And I also say sit in front of middle C or D. I sit in front of middle D because it's symmetrical on the way out. And it helps me to orientate myself when I'm playing the piano, especially doing eyes closed exercises. You might choose to sit in front of middle C, but if you sit in front of the same note every single time you sit at the piano, your arms and fingers will get used to where they should be to play things. At the moment, I've got my tripod, so I can sit in front of middle D, and it just feels good when I play all these nice chords. My hands just feel like they're in the right place. F feels like it's there. A flat feels like it's there. It just feels right. D minor 9, it feels like it's there. B minor 7, it's there. It just feels like it's there. If I offset myself, I have to readjust, and there's a bit more conscious interference involved, which is very bad. Next thing, label notes quietly or in your mind for verification. You may not always have to do this unless you're an absolute beginner, but it's nice to just, on your internal piano, get used to labeling the notes with their correct names, because some people don't know the names of the notes. Some people confuse sharps and flats and don't quite know what they mean. That's okay. We all have to start somewhere. So get used to calling the notes for what they are. Some notes have got 2 names. Well, every note has more than 1 name. So this note is C sharp, but also D flat. Even the white notes. This can be E sharp sometimes. This can be C flat sometimes. So get used to labeling the notes. F sharp, G flat, A sharp, B flat, E, B, and get used to being able to say them very, very quickly, because some people have to think a little bit, or they have to like count up, C, D, F, G, A, oh yeah, A flat, and it takes like 3 or 4 seconds. So just get like C sharp, D flat, A sharp, B flat, B, E, A, G, F. Just get used to saying them very, very, very quickly. Become familiar with your instrument. A nice little exercise next is to touch and release any notes in rhythm with breathing in and out. It's just a present exercise. So you will, you just find your natural breathing. People play with tension. That's why this is important. Just relax. So just breathing in. I'll kind of exaggerate the noise. So let me just get used to it. Okay, so I'm going to go. So every time, I'm just changing. There I played 2 notes, 1 out, 1 in. But you get the idea. Hold a note down as you breathe in, release when you take it off, or go to another note. Just try to follow and tune into your breathing. It slows you down, it brings you to the piano. Very important things. Again, many people, just imagine people that don't do these things. They don't visualize the keyboard. They don't do their stretches. They sit in front of a different key every time they play. They don't know the names of the notes. They're not in tune with their breathing, and they have a tension and a stress, and they're rushing. Can you imagine being like that? Oh, I can't. And then another one is hold notes until their sound fades naturally. Great exercise, very good for patience. Choose a note, A flat. Now for me the sound has gone, but it might be different through the MIDI. But do that, really nice. Play another note and do it again. And you can test how long a note lasts as well. Sometimes you might want to press a note really hard. I don't want to do that because I'll ruin the audio, but just really, bang it hard so it lasts longer. And other notes you might just play gently, so they disappear more quickly. And just get used to the dynamics which are available to you as a pianist. And then finally, I've just written, reflect on your intentions and desires for your piano journey. Many people don't know where they're going. They don't know, therefore, what they should be focusing on. They don't know what kind of music they should be playing. And that's no good. If you don't know where you're going, you're just floating without any direction on the ocean of music. Not very good. I need to find a clever way to scroll down. Each one has a little quote as well, for a little bit of inspiration. Day 2, major scales exploration. Major scales are the most important thing. You have to know them in every key immediately. It doesn't mean that you can play them super fast up and down. It means you know the shapes. You can just take a pen and say A flat. Okay, these are the notes of A flat. And you can play them everywhere. I can see A flat across the whole piano. It's not about playing them. Of course, playing them is important, but first is the shape. If you don't know the shape, you can't play anything. That's why you have to know it in your mind first. You see, it makes sense over time. So the first one just says play major scales in all keys, any method desired. And then I just give a few more specifics. So the first one is just literally, do I know all the keys? And when you come to these enharmonic equivalents, C sharp, D flat, D sharp, E flat, some of them aren't actually keys. And I'll just tell you now, D sharp you never play, G sharp you never play, A sharp you never play, E sharp you don't play. F flat is not really a key. It's called a theoretical key. C flat and B sharp, you don't play these. So you're going to learn and label correctly C, D, E, F, G, A, B for the key of C, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp. They are sharps in the key, but they're not the root. You don't play a key of B sharp because you just play C. And you'll also label it as D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat. Just get used to labeling the notes and playing the major scales with the correct names. And it says any method desired. So you might do it with 2 hands, 1 finger. You might do it with an octave in both hands. Let's do D flat. All these kind of variations. You might play them with just 2 fingers. Let's do E. Like doing it in little pairs like this. Just do whatever you want, just mess around, but just get the key into your brain and know that you know them. I have a playlist for that, Absolute Major Scale Mastery. I'll link it somewhere. So going into this in a bit more detail, it says use the correct and or natural fingering. Now, the correct fingering, I said that word on purpose because I don't like the word correct. Every hand is different. There is no correct. Natural fingering is the correct fingering. You can be recommended that this may help you, this may work for you, this is kind of common. Try that, and it may work for you. Sometimes it doesn't. You should watch famous pianists from the past and the present playing, and even if you watch them playing the same piece, if you focus that much, you'll see that they're using different fingering techniques. Liszt and Chopin, all these great composers, would have recommended fingering, but they both said, find your natural fingering. Don't play like somebody else. You have your hand. You don't have their hand. So you might try correct fingering, which, for example, in the key of C, it would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. But Liszt, even in his technical exercises, which I have right here on my piano, would say use the fingering of other scales in other scales. So in the key of, F, for example, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So let's use that in the key of C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That kind of thing. And it gets a lot more interesting when you start to use the notes, when you start to alternate between black and white notes doing that. So the key of A flat, for example, starts on the index finger. 1, 2, and then it goes to the thumb immediately. So do that in the key of C. 1, 2, 3. You see, you're mixing and matching the fingering. But find your natural fingering. It's very important for both hands, of course. I've also said try one finger for focused control. Very, very important, especially the thumb and the little finger. Generally, they're weaker. So let them have a bit of a workout. Let them have a bit of a play. Bring them out. My thumb playing E flat there. My little finger playing the key of A. Pretty good precision there. Nice speed. Aim for that. Both hands, of course. Vary the... Oh, hang on. So that's one finger, focus control. Very good. Next thing, explore endurance with long repetitions and get comfortable with octaves. Okay, so that means... there's variations of that, but the main key word here is endurance. And it applies to everything in this, really. Whatever you're doing, try to do it for a long time, just to really give the fingers a good workout. So, for example, on the major scales here, with long endurance, it could mean just going up and down that scale cleanly, staccato, no pedal, until it almost becomes meditative and you can just look away. I've got my eyes closed and just, I'm not even thinking about it. To the key of F. And just get into these sequences where you just keep the fingers working for like 2 minutes. Doesn't matter what the key is, of course. You can do that with other things as well, chords and different scales. So repetition, and like I said, I also say become comfortable with octaves. So why not combine the two together? Just keep playing the scale, but as octaves. Both hands. Endurance, endurance, endurance. Every day do these things. Or well, at least in this, spend one day doing it specifically. But you can mix and match this generally. Okay, fine. The next thing is vary the dynamics and registers, meaning areas, across the keyboard with both hands. Both hands have to be quite comfortable playing in areas where they don't normally belong, meaning the right hand, it's nice to give the right hand, let it go into these forbidden areas down here, and let the left hand go up here, where it never normally sees. Normally it's kind of the middle C area where the hands separate. Maybe you could say it's down to a G perhaps, but generally the left hand doesn't go above the middle C and the right hand doesn't normally go below that kind of F area. It's normally the left hand playing chords. So mix and match. Play the major scales down here with the right hand and do them up here with the left hand. I couldn't really hear what I did then, but you get the idea. Very dynamics as well, yes. So get used to maybe highlighting, maybe the fourth note is the emphasized one. I can't do it too loud because it will ruin the audio, but you get the idea. Or just play them all quietly. And get used to what it means to play gently. And then, of course, try to bring it up to another level. And then do it as loud as you can. Again, I don't want to ruin the audio. So just experiment with these kinds of things, using and abusing the major scales. Next thing is practice interval scales, meaning you can do it in 2 separate octaves or right next to each other. So, for example, if we do it in thirds, there's various ways that you can interpret this. You can do it chromatically. Like this. Or you can do it another octave apart when it's chromatic, etc. And when it comes to the scale, it's quite fun to play. In other words, I had this in my head when I was thinking about it, that you play, you can play the same scale a third apart. So you'll play like E to E, but the key of C. That kind of thing. Do it with octaves as well. I need to be careful of my tripod. And you can also play 2, because I said for brain breaking at the end. And what was in my head is that you play 2 different scales. So I might play, like, for example, E in the right and C in the left. And you can go in deeper into all that. I made a video a long time ago, I think it's still around, called 3 Exercises to Break Your Brain. And I give lots of demonstrations of, and that's one of them, to play. Sometimes it takes a bit of time, might take a minute or 2 to just get the scale into the fingers. I don't want to go into it all now because the video will get too long, but I've demonstrated it previously a couple of years ago. It's good fun to do. It takes a bit of time, but then eventually it just becomes automatic. You have the E going here and maybe the B scale going on in the left hand, and that you play them together, and it does come together. It's quite nice, bit of fun, very, very good. Internalize, and then the last thing here is internalize intervals emotionally. That's true. Close your eyes, play an interval. Let's play a sixth in the key of G. What does that remind you of? Does it remind you of anything? It reminds me of Liebestraum, that Liszt piece, because that is a sixth in the beginning. I wasn't thinking about that, but I just recognized that interval as a sixth, which is E flat to C in the key for his song. It's that piece. Playing it in my way. That piece. So I could hear that six, even though I did it in the key of G, exactly same thing in the key of E flat. So I have an emotional connection to that interval, a sixth. Takes me immediately to that Liebestraum piece. Let's do like a, I don't know, even a flat five. I'll do F to C flat. Kind of a mysterious one there. A bit ugly, a bit unstable, doesn't want to be played. A very, very unique sound. So get used to playing intervals and internalize the intervals emotionally. Day 3, chordal studies. First thing says, practice major and minor triads and or, depending on your level, major 7, minor 7, and dominant 7 chords in all keys. That's kind of all you need to get going. So on top of that, I've added use a metronome to increase speed abilities. There's a typo there, so I need to fix that, between key changes. Because one exercise is to simply have the metronome on, maybe 120, and you'll play like 4 beats of that, and you'll just go either around the cycle of fourths or just choose a key randomly, play a 7, I'll go to F next, I'll go to B next, and I'll go to D next. So you just want to have that ability to just switch into different keys. You get D flat next, E next, and your fingers just fall on that chord type. That was an E7, well, that was a dominant 7th chord type. But you can just do that with major scales, with major chords, minor chords, or triads rather. Just play them in different keys until they become so natural your fingers just fall on them. So here I've said use a metronome, which means find your natural limit. It might be 60 beats per minute, which is just literally 1 click per second, and you might be at that kind of speed, and that's your speed. Fine. Try and push it up to 180 until you can just fly through the keys, different chord types. Alternate staccato and legato articulations, that's true as well. Normally I do, I play with the pedal, of course, and it's a mix of staccato and legato, but it's nice to, for example, roll a chord in a staccato style. Let's just take a major 7, this kind of thing, up and down, maybe different registers. I can't go too low down here, but I can get to an F. That kind of thing, but then do it staccato. So you might have the pedal for this or not. So get used to these kind of runs. Let's do a C minor 7. Do minor 7 chords. B minor 7. C minor 7. E minor 7. These kind of things. A minor 7. Let's do a whole diminished chromatically with a pedal. With the pedal, and each time I'm lifting up just before I play the next one. That's fun. Explore all registers with both hands, as I kind of explained as well. The next one, finger independence and precision, very, very important. So focus on finger endurance, as I said earlier, because that applies everywhere, but in this sense, it wasn't about major scales necessarily. For this one, I mean normally chromatic. So it says, focus on finger endurance and control exercises on one note or scale. So let me just give you an example of one note. There's a couple of ways of doing this. One is that you literally just choose a finger. The weak finger, maybe the left ring finger is pretty weak, and the right, I don't know, maybe little finger, perhaps. My right hand's pretty strong actually, but I'll just say little finger. And you can just get used to just kind of going up and down the dynamic range. It's interesting because you start to feel the piano in a different way, and your arms should be in the right place, of course. I talk about energy puddles, where the fingertip is the lowest part, and then there's a slope upwards through the knuckles, through the wrist, up to the elbow. There's a slope going up. There's no V shapes anywhere. I'm not playing with my wrist below my hand or something. So you can just get used to how it feels to play, just like this. It feels really good, it's nice. Or do it chromatically with one same finger. But do it for like 3 minutes without stopping, of course. I'm not going to do that, but you get the idea. Doing it with different fingers on different hands. You could do it with intervals. So, yeah, finger endurance, very, very important. Work on chromatics and overall velocity. It's very important to have this kind of thing in your fingers where you can play chromatics. I have a whole video on the chromatic scale. One of my favourite exercises, you may know this because you've seen it elsewhere, is to play over the first group of black notes from C to E and back down to C. But then you run up over the next block of 3 black notes, go back down to F, and then run up over the C one again, come back down, up over the F one, and back up to C. It's a nice thing to do. So do that, and of course you can try it with octaves as well. Maybe one finger in the left hand and octaves in the right hand. That kind of thing. Nice thing to do. And aim for velocity on those. You really want to be able to get used to playing like, maybe quick, like trills almost. Not on every finger combination for this because it's chromatics. But doing things like this. So you can play things like, Flight the Bumblebee and stuff like that. Let's get used to that thumb moving underneath. So you can see how I could play Flight the Bumblebee if I actually knew the piece. And it comes from the fact that I've just done this, for thousands of hours over many, many years. The next thing here is, and the last thing on the day 4 is perfect every finger combination and interval. And I wrote that for a reason because it has my favourite technical exercise, which should become your favourite exercise. Start on the C and the E, on the thumbs. And every finger, what you have to understand is that every piece ever written was made by a human hand for human hands. And so, technically, every piece should be playable. So, you want to go to the natural stretch of each finger combination. So the thumb to the index, thumb to the middle, thumb to the ring, thumb to the little. And you do it from C and E because it's symmetrical. You can make it hard on yourself by doing it, on different notes. So it's black and white or not. That's a bit more challenging. But this is symmetrical, so you don't have to think so much. And you just go out to the natural stretch, which I guess is, I can reach further, but I'm never going to play that. That's silly. That would be like a ring finger interval, or maybe a middle or a little finger. So for me, I just guess to the B is quite normal. Staccato like this. I call it the butterfly technique for obvious reasons. So that's that, and then you go to the ring finger. To the middle finger. And that can go a bit further. I can go to a D, it's kind of natural and comfortable there. Okay. And then to the ring finger, which I guess it doesn't have to start next to the E, but it's kind of comfortable to do so here. This one goes out to maybe the black note there. Maybe coming back to the A in the left and the G in the right is a bit more natural. So just go to like natural finger stretches. And then the little finger, maybe that can start from the F and the B. Go out to an octave. Really, really great for precision. And then you remove the thumb and you go to the index. And these are going to be slightly smaller intervals because, of course, the thumb stretches out more. So middle finger with the index finger. The index finger's on C and E. So that only goes out a little bit. And then with the ring finger, start it a bit away. That can only go a little way because of the natural stretch. So you do that with every finger. Then you put the middle fingers on it. Maybe you might move out a bit so you've got a bit more space. B in the left, F in the right. And then the ring finger, starting maybe a whole tone away. That only goes not too far. So you get the idea. Amazingly, amazingly important exercise to do. And I do that often. So, next thing, day 5, jazz repertoire acquisition. Most people are interested in jazz on my channel more than classical, but I can still help you with classical. So this one says, so this is going to be day 5? I forgot. Day 5. Select a new jazz tune's chord progression. Section A, optionally, section B. So, you go on to jazzstudies.us or you buy or look at the ones online because they're all over the place, a lead sheet, what you call it, a fake book, a real book, and you choose a song that you'd like to learn. I always use Fly Me to the Moon as the demo song, If not, I, of course, can play others, but I'll use it as a demo song. And you'll study the chord progression. You won't go near the piano necessarily. You can sit at the piano, but you're not going to play it directly, first of all. And you look at the chord progression. Okay, so it can be A minor 7, D minor 7, G7, C major 7, F, B half diminished, E7, A minor, up to A7. So I know the progression, because obviously I know the piece. But you want to drill that chord progression and try to learn it with numbers, which is actually the point later. But at least study the chords, see how it's put together, see what key it's in. And of course, listen to as many versions as you can, not just on the piano, maybe the singing version, so you can learn the lyrics, which helps with melody, tracking, helps with structure as well. But listen to lots of different versions. Of course, you've got all the great pianists, but you also have lots of saxophone players who play all this stuff, trumpet players, vibes, what's his name, Milt Jackson, Stefan Grappelli on violin. You've got lots of different instruments to enjoy versions of classic jazz songs. So choose one that you like, and then you can know what you should be working towards. Next thing says listen to different versions, pick your favorite style. Next thing says associate chords with numbers for easy memorization. Exactly. So when you see this A minor 7, D minor 7, G7, C major 7 thing, F, B half diminished, E7, A minor 7, A7 goes from minor to major, third. Put it in numbers. So you know what the key is, the key of C. So it's going to be 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, and you could call that 7, 3, 6 if you want to. So learn the number progression, and then when you can play it, forget the melody, that's not important for now. Play it in a different key. You can choose the common keys first, which are C, F, G, E flat and B flat. They're the main jazz ones. That's pretty much 98% of jazz repertoire in C, F, G, E flat and B flat. But try it in those. So the key of F, for example, it's going to be 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, 7 as a half diminished, 3 as a regular chord. Is it going? Yeah, yes. And then on to 6, so D. And then it goes up to the major third. So just try it in a different key. Bit of fun. The melody comes last, but it's not part of day 5. So get used to transposing. It's very, very important. So day 6, whatever that means. Learn, it says melody acquisition and style variation. So learn the melody without a lead sheet. You know the song. You've heard it lots of times because you've listened to it to get it on your internal jukebox. Try to find the melody. So fly me to the moon, I'm looking for it. Da, da, da. Okay, that sounds like the first note. Okay. And you might go, I'm doing it wrong on purpose here to demonstrate. So you might go, okay, no. Okay. No, okay. Okay, like that, okay. You know, and you find it, you study it, and then eventually you'll see it, and you'll see it in the key of the piece, and you'll understand how the melody is played against the chords. So from the beginning, it starts on a minor note, of A minor. It goes over the 9, the root, the 7, goes to the minor of D. This is the 11, this is the 5, this is the 7, this is the 3rd of G, the 9, the root, the dominant 7, lands on the 3rd of C. That's why it sounds nice, because it's using safe notes and nice jazz notes. So you study it. Perform naturally from memory. Yes, you know the chords because you did it yesterday. You've done the melody now. Try to play it together. You just try and play it. Next thing says experiment with different accompaniment styles. So you could try the left hand, here I've written like stride. Nice. Etc. You can do it freestyle where you just play it how you want. Play how you want, no rhythm. Choose. Listen to versions, you'll see what you like. And then I just simply say prepare for a shareable, confident performance. It doesn't mean you literally have to go out into the street and play it, but just get to the point where you think, okay, if somebody comes in I can say, listen to what I've just been able to do, and you play it, and it sounds really, really good. So that's nice. But in jazz, it's chords first, melody second. Day 7, synthesis, I think that's a nice word, and improvisation. Review all previous days' work to identify progress and weaknesses. If you were having trouble with octaves, spend a bit more time on them the next time, or maybe fix it today. If you had an issue, if there's still some major scales you haven't got down from day 1, get them down. Maybe make some notes. Like I say at the top of the document, make notes. Just write down, okay, I had a problem with E in the key of A flat. I still can't see it yet. To be honest, A flat is one of my least favourite keys. It's awkward to me. I don't really... A flat minor, I don't know. It's an annoying shape. And for years, I always used to think that F was the 7th, but it's not. It's just not think it was, but my finger used to play it as if it were the 7th, but it's the 6th. The fact that this is the 7 of A flat has always been a little bug in my brain. So even now, sometimes when I'm playing a nice chord progression, what would it be? That would be the 2 of G flat. So if I have to play A flat minor 7, there's like a millionth of a second where my memory comes back and it's like, don't play F, play G flat. So that took a while to really fix. And also I had a problem in the beginning with F sharp. I always went to the C, because I had it in my head that it went 1, 2, 3 black notes and then it jumped, and then it went 2 black notes and jumped. It took me a long time to force myself to go to B and have that, like, you know, space here. Kind of looks like a spaceship or something, you know, like that, or the Eiffel Tower. I don't know. So it took me a long time to play the B or C flat, whatever key we're going to put it in. So you know, I had to go through this myself. I didn't, you know, the man on the top of the mountain didn't fall there. So, review all day's work, identify progress and weaknesses, especially weaknesses. Improve on the jazz piece, fine, or compose your own little ditty. I always encourage people to compose, even if it's a simple little thing. Even if you just say, okay, I'm going to make a piece and it's going to have 5 chords. It's going to be not in one particular key. It's going to be a waltz, 3/4 time, and the melody is going to be only the same 3 notes. Just put these little conditions on yourself. So random chords, I'll just do, I don't know, it's completely spontaneous. This is my point. I'm going to just use F, G, and A. So I'm only going to use note chords where F, G, and A kind of work, and I'm going to do it in a kind of waltz. I don't know what's going to come out. Let's do it. So what could we start with? G7. So I might go, so first little bit. And then it might go to D minor 7, because they all work as well. So G7. Something like that. That's the beginning. And then it might go, what other notes can work? B flat, they are in the key of B flat. So then I might jump to B flat. So from the beginning, or did it start G? I don't remember what the melody was. And then B flat. You know, I'm just coming out with a little song with 3 little notes and random chords that have these notes in their keys. It's fun to do that. Next thing says highlight regular and interesting chord tones. This kind of refers to the improvisation or your composition. And that happened. In the G, I started on the 9. That was nice. Then when it went to D, it touched over the G, which is an 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. That could have been the melody. Just to highlight that 11 on purpose. And if you're improvising over the song Fly Me to the Moon, again, emphasize the notes. Try to emphasize 9s. I'm just emphasizing the 9 90% of the time in that improvisation. It's just a nice little exercise to do. Last thing of the document, focus on tension and resolution, as well as the call and response concept. So tension normally involves playing a key which is not in the key, literally a key, a note which is not in the key. So you might start on B flat. So improvisation might go, which sounds good. You see how that sounds awful and normally. because it's a flat 9 against a minor. It doesn't work. But in an improvisation, sounded quite nice. These kind of things. You just create a little tension by playing a note that's just a semitone out. And the call and response idea is a way of thinking. It's like you play a melody and then you respond to it. So I might go, that's my call, and I'm waiting for a response. Call, respond, call. And the response, and we get the timing better. Response. That kind of thing. So it's an idea, it's a concept, it helps you structure your improvisation. Anyway, and then at the end of the document, just underneath that, I've got additional practice ideas to bring the video to a close now. Spend time looking at my playlists to find appropriate videos. Another typo I need to fix before I publish this. I have a lot of videos, and I've got quite a lot of good playlists. So I recommend having a look at the technical exercise playlist, the chord progression playlist, or the chord-related stuff playlist. I've got videos for beginners. I've subscriber requests. I've song analyses. I have my podcast playlist, which you can enjoy when you're not at the piano or out and about. Attempt the Dan the Composer Piano Challenge is the next one. I have a video on that. It links to it in the document. It is an old video. So that, the quality is not as good as these videos these days, but it's still not too bad, and I'm not really talking in it, I'm just showing you. And it basically begins with being able to play all the major scales over 2 octaves, and then it follows a chord sequence, which goes major 7, but you're playing it like this, but really quick, like. So if you can get it really fast, that's great. But anyway, it's going C major 7, C7, I'll just slow it down, C minor 7, C minor major 7, so that's all the variations, and then it goes C6, C minor 6, C whole diminished, half diminished, and then augmented. Now you can play the augmented with a flat 7 on top, and you can also put in a sus chord if you want. And you can put the sus chord with the flat 7 if you want. So you can do that, but anyway, I recommend trying that. Next thing says, choose a piece to sight read and master it on your internal piano first. I haven't got any sight reading stuff here, but if you want to play some classical stuff, romantic music, Baroque, all that stuff, learn it first, even if it's just 4 bars at a time, on your internal piano, away from the piano. Then go to the piano without the sheet music and play what you have internalized. That reduces conscious interference, and it guarantees that you know those bars because you visualize doing it first. So when you do come to the piano, you'll be able to, you'll be able to play it. All that. I don't know how that piece goes. I don't know how it goes. But that Chopin piece, you'll be able to play it because you studied the score, as I clearly haven't. So do that. That can, help you a lot. Just like with jazz chords, you internalize the progression away from the piano. What's the next thing? Learn a new chord type every day. You may not know all the chord types. There's about 20 or so chord types. Pick one. Like I just played now, that sus chord. You might just get used to playing the sus, which is a major triad, but the third is raised half step. Maybe go around the cycle of fourths. So you imagine you're going to play the triad and just raise the third. Go to B flat. You can resolve it if you want to. E flat. Get used to playing a new chord every day. And at the end of that, it says if you want, you can master modal theory and the diatonic chords once and for all. Very basically, modal theory is a major scale, but from each note of within itself, which means the key of C. But you play the key of C from the D, from the E, from the E and the F, from the G, from the A, and each one has a name. Doesn't matter for now, but they all have a name. And back to C again. So there's 7 modes, and it is just literally the major scale inverted. And diatonic chords basically means that you have a 4-note chord based on the master key that you've started doing it in. I have videos on this. It's absolutely not part of this video. But, they're just additional practice ideas. So maybe consider those depending on your level. I hope this ritual will help you and that you do spend time at the piano, focusing on your mind, on your body, and then doing stuff at the piano, working on your finger independence, major scales, precision, octaves, dynamics, and everything else I've just said. So good luck. Updates always welcome. See you next video. All the best. Bye for now.